Well, let's have a crack at that. Welcome to Monday Night Live. A little delayed. Couldn't get stuff working. Nothing new there. Hope everyone can see me. Looks like we've got a couple of people on. Phones going off over there because I forget to turn them off all the time. Right, let me see if we can get the chats up. Make sure we're live. Looks like we are live. Live now. Right, we can get rid of that one. Okay, so we'll just see if we can get these comments up. There's some comments coming through. Looks like it's all happening. So, tonight, I'm going to talk about really the last week we talked about that I'd start a process where I'd do a bit of a training course on here about how to find gold. Okay? There's lots of questions about how to find gold, and we just want to start that process off. So tonight's all about the education. I'm going to give away a couple of pans, but nothing special tonight, okay? Because I want to focus on finding you more gold, okay? Simple as that, okay? It's something that people never ever do. So it's the most important thing. So what I see is no one really prospecting anymore. There's very, very few prospectors anymore. Okay? So what we're doing is we're going, and this is good information. I'm not criticizing this information, but it's only one part of this information. What I see with prospectors, there's two types of prospectors. Sorry, there's two types of fossickers. Let me define fossickers and prospectors, okay? A fossicker is someone who follows in the footsteps of the old timers, follows in the footsteps of other people, right, to go out and find some gold, okay? A lot of people are fossickers, okay? Now, prospecting is a very, very rare art. I have to put these back on. I take them on and off all the time, okay? But prospectors are a different breed. Prospectors will walk a different path to most people. Now, there is very few books on prospecting, okay? So how do you learn how to prospect, okay? Now, there's parts of prospecting that are common knowledge, okay? For me, there is two books, the authority on this, on prospecting, okay? One, both by the same bloke. One written in, I don't know when this was written. Let me get rid of that. So this one, 1931, okay? Prospecting for Gold by Ian Idris, okay? I'm a big fan of Ian Idris, okay? Now, this is a book that's available relatively cheaply. This is not a cheap one. This is a first edition. For some reason, I like these old books. Okay. Prospecting for Gold from Ian Idris, 1931. Okay. Now, what it basically does, the title of the book, the subtitle of the book, if you like, is called From the Dish to the Hydraulic Plant. Okay. So, and what if I just flick through this book, right, there's pictures of fluming head races, how to build them, hydraulic hoses, monitors. There's all sorts of information there, how to build a sluice, right? There's all this sort of information, right? Now, one thing we're going to talk about that he talks a lot about in that book is loaming. Okay. The other one, again, by Ian Idris, is Fortunes in Minerals. Now, Fortunes in Minerals is a little bit of a different book, right? Now, Fortunes in Minerals, I will actually read you some of the subjects in here. Okay, now, it talks about a lot of old stuff in here, and it's very heavy reading, okay? But it talks about the stones worth knowing, variety, few rocks, more rocks and minerals, science, and the prospector must follow the same rules, dish and dolly. But then it gets into flame testing, reduction testing, boric speed testing, the chemicals and minerals, wet tests, tests for copper, aluminium, calcium, tin and gold, right? Then it goes through the ores of platinum, uranium, radium, tellurium. I've never heard of tellurium before. Tungsten, molybdenum, bismuth, cobalt. It goes through the ores of arsenic, of lithium, it goes through and how to test them, okay? Really, really good book from a chemical point of view. Yes, right? But this is your first book for a prospector, Prospecting for Gold. This is when you've sort of mastered these techniques, the prospecting for gold. This will expand you out into other minerals and allow you to see other minerals in the ground. So, first book, Prospecting for Gold. Second book, Fortunes in Minerals, right? Now, my grandfather, I think, must have read a lot of those books or knew about a lot of those books. So, because he taught me a lot of this stuff before I even knew these books existed, sort of thing. Now, what people don't do, and I had this comment today, actually, a mate of mine and I were talking about it. He's talking about going to the Palmer, right? He's coming up to the Palmer and actually almost ignoring the old timers' workings. Now, not necessarily ignoring the old timers' workings, but how people prospect or fossick, probably more fossicking, is they go looking for old timers' workings, right? And they go around looking for the old timers off casts, right? The old timers spoils that they missed, okay? And that's a very good way to find some gold, okay? Now, the problem with it is that the old timers didn't see everything. So what he's actually going out and looking for is he's actually looking for a patch of his own, right? Something untouched. Now, I would say in most places like Warwick or Victoria, or, you know, even in some areas in WA, right, it's very hard to do that. In somewhere like Palmer that's been closed off for 30 years, it's likely that that's a chance. So, how does he do it? We talk about this in our little training session. I thought there was something flying across my background. I thought that's not a live background, but it's an ant. An ant is climbing across my my screen there. So, of course that one doesn't have that page in it. So, what we need to do is we need to trace the gold. There's only one way to turn 200,000 acres that you've got in the Palmer into an area that you could possibly detect. And that's with a gold pan. That's it, right? So, what I tend to do is I will I will get to some of these questions, okay? I'll get to some of these questions. If I'm in a new area, I will quite simply pan every gully. That's how we start, okay? So we pan any gully. The best indicator of gold is gold, okay? So when we're panning these gullies, okay, I might walk, what I tend to do is I might tend to walk 1 kilometre up one side, pan in the creek, right? Try any hot spots that I think might be working, and then I'll come back down the other side and I'll go up high and I'll look at the inside bends and up higher on the bank, okay? Now, that will give me a fantastic reflection of what's going on in that creek, okay? Now, if I'm getting lots of colour, I will mark that down on I'll mark that down on a map, and it will be one that I will come back to, okay? Now, that's fine, okay? That's fine. You've identified what gold is, what gullies are holding gold. Now, even in the Palmer, not every gully holds gold, right? You can go down to the Sandy, pan the Palmer River, it'll have gold in it, right? But what you've then got to do, and this is the process of loaming, okay? You've got to work out where that gold's come from, okay? Now, how you do that is with a map, ideally in paper form, and you write down, okay? You test as you go up the hill, panning, right? And you test and see where this gold's coming from and where it's stopped, and you take note of what's happening, okay? And what results you're getting in your pan, okay? It's painful. It can take a long time. There's a great old video that occasionally surfaces on Facebook of a guy loaming, and for years and years and years he loams away, and then he finds the mother lode, then I think he gets shot or something or other. So that's basic loaming. No one does it, okay? No one does some loaming. So it was a refreshing thing to hear about loaming today. Now, what I am going to do is I am going to just go here and I'm going to shoot up. I'm going to find the system that I use. I didn't have this. I didn't have this set up because I was running a bit late tonight and then nothing worked. So this is part of the training I do on when we come out, if you buy a machine or you come out to the lease, right? This is part of what I do. We go through this in a lot of detail. I'm just going to try and steal this photo here. Save picture as. We'll save it in downloads, and we'll call it DDD. And then what we'll do is we'll go over to the mighty email, and I'll actually send it to myself, really. So then I can pick it up on the other computer. So let me just get it here, downloads, D, because I want to show you this. Send that across to me. Send it anyway. Didn't put a subject in. Right, so the Ballad of Buster Scruggs. There we go. That is it there. So Ross is a superstar. Ross, it's not true what everyone says about you. Just kidding, mate. But that Ballad of Buster Scruggs is the loaming video that we're talking about. So that if anyone has a chance, click on that link. Oh, of course, after the show. Wouldn't want to miss out on my riveting comments. And go and have a look at the Ballad of Buster Scruggs. It is a fantastic video of loaming. Okay, so and some of the hard work that goes into it. Now, what's going on here? That's right. Why won't you work? It doesn't work. Anyway, what we will do though, I don't know how to get that across there. Maybe if I had a USB stick. Hang on a tick, we've just got to get this photo across so I can show you what's going on. Maybe we put that in there. I don't even know how big that thing is. Let's have another crack at this. No, we won't scan the thing. We'll save that photo as, save picture as, we're going to save it on that silly little Lexar thing. We're going to call it DDD. And we're going to save it. And then we're going to yank it out and we're going to try and put it in this other computer for you. Let's see if we can get it to work. Here we go. My email system doesn't seem to love me. No, we won't scan it for threats. Right, let me go back to the comments here because obviously people are talking and yes. Right, so I do need bourbon. There's no doubt about that. So let me just add this picture here, right? We just get this picture image and we'll go to a new image and we'll browse and we'll see if we can pull it straight off that hard drive. Here we go. Right, so look at that. It's even the right way up. Right, no one really needs to see me, I suppose. Let's see me. I can point to stuff. So, this is a little system I've worked out over years for my mapping. Okay? So, basically, there's an explanation up there, and it's probably worthwhile, if you're interested in this, screenshotting this. Okay? Because this is a good little system that I work. So let's say you've got a road, brown road, running through the centre of this ground. Basically what this is a setup, if you like. I wasn't going to show you the detail of some of these, but it's based off actual results. Okay, so basically what I've done is I've driven along this road, I've stopped here in this gully, and I've panned either side of this gully. Okay, and you can see some of the results, zeros, you know. Now, that number by itself is number of flakes in a pan, number of colours I see in a pan, okay? Now, some you'll see in here, right, have got a D in front of it. That's if I've detected any gold out of that area, okay? So I note that down as well. This is particularly when I'm doing a new area. Then you'll see here, and I don't do a lot of this because I'm in dry country, but you'll see that one there, right? The S in the middle of two numbers means I've sluiced there, or run a high banker or something like that. The first number is amount of 20 litre buckets. Second bit is the amount I got out of those 20 litre buckets in grams, right? So, that's how I record it, okay? Now, I do that, and you might think, oh, that's a waste of time. You know, I simply do that because quite often I will see a run of gold running through here, and it runs over the hill, and it's the same run of gold. So that tells me a big story, okay? And when you spent a long time in an area, you will have a map of where the gold's running, okay? So that is a fantastic way to work out what's going on with the gold. Okay, that is the key to good prospecting. Okay, and no one prospects like this, and that's the most important. That is by far and away the most important thing when you're going into new ground. You've got to cut, like for instance, in a lot of areas, say for instance the Palmer, you've got to cut 200,000 acres into an area that you can detect, right? You can't detect all of it. You can't roll into an area and go, oh, this looks good, and then someone might have worked it, right? Or the old timers have got the bulk of it. You've got to actually work the area, okay? Now, I'm going to scroll this. I'm just going to scroll up and see if we've got any questions there. Lots and lots of people here. Bill Jenkos, Mark, Steve, Ken, Dale, Raymond, James, Lisa, Kate, Steve, Stan. Lots and lots of people here. So just a bit of there's Alan's here and looking forward to doing the training course on the 6000. Any idea when this is? Yes, there's a slight problem. The road is actually closed at the moment. There is a giant hole in the middle of the road where a creek ran through. So we're waiting on an update on that. And yes. Trevor's on fire tonight. There's jokes coming out everywhere. So yes. Detective Bull, I don't know why you can't comment on the Facebook screen. So yeah. So yeah, I'm not sure, mate. Not sure. You're certainly not blocked. So yeah. Right. So Peter, I think I have got a library, mate. At the front there, I have got a library. And people are more than willing to come in and have a look at these books. They can't take them with them. They can't buy them. Although I do have a couple of copies here. This fella here has been eaten by I picked this up. This is another Idris book. I don't know whether you can see that, but it's been eaten by something. So, yeah, it's been eaten by something. But still, all the information is very, very good in that. Right, so... Right. Hey, Tanya, how you going? Alan Flint. Luke, not many creeks left that show real gold. Dried up. Geology is important, reading the ground. Luke, I'd have to disagree with that certainly after this recent rainfall. Most of the creeks that are showing have got huge amounts of colours in them. The most worked creeks in some of the most worked fossicking areas in Warwick, for instance, have massive amount of colours in there. People are having a field day there, 20, 30, 40 colours a pan, whereas previously there wasn't many. This is certainly one part of it, and it's an important part that people don't use. People use reading ground. People read geology. People do that a lot. They don't go loaming. They don't go looking for gold. It's hard work, loaming. People don't want to do the hard work. So yes. Right. Bring up your map and show us how you mark spots. Well, see, that's on this computer, not that. It's actually on this computer, not on this computer. So. Sorry, guys, can't do that one. I have brought it up before, that map, by mistake. So, yeah. I think Buster Scruggs did play a banjo at one stage there. So, yes. So, yeah. Right. You should repeat all that. I've got to get the girls to bed. I know. Yes. So, Matty, good question. Are your pans taken in the same circumstances, off the top, 1 foot deep behind obstructions? Okay, so when I'm panning, that's a great question, Matty. So what I tend to do is I will take a variety of those pans. Okay, behind obstructions, off top, deep, depending on where I am. And I will mentally note that. I don't note that on my map, but I mentally note that when I'm working, going, okay, so that section there it was sitting up high, right? Let's see what's deeper, right? And I test it. The point of that, I don't normally even take a snuffer bottle and keep the gold with me. I normally just testing. So I will mix it up and try and get a read of it, okay? And if I come across an area that I go, righto, the pan I took there that was deep, I might rewalk that and take some deep pans to see whether that's reflected across the whole system and rework that system with the new knowledge that I have. So, yes, that's what I do. So the important thing is, when you're doing this, when you're panning it and you're trying to narrow down an area, is you want to find out. Finding gold, the best indicator of gold is gold. So I'm looking for a prolific quantity of gold in the pan, okay? And I'm noting that down, okay? And if I need to stop and start again. So, yeah. So I mix it up and try and get on top of it that way. Need to pan the road. Had a 3 ounce and a 23 gram specimen come out last week. Love to see the photos of that up at Palmer. 3 ouncer. Wow, that's a beauty. So, Mark and Kelly and Mark up there at Palmer doing a fantastic job up there. Love to see some photos. Eaten by Silverfish. Yes, I think that book was eaten by Silverfish. So, any of those creeks in New South Wales? No, but you have tons of creeks in the edges of goldfields that are carrying a lot of gold, right? I know of creeks in New South Wales that aren't in known goldfields that are carrying good quantities of gold. No one pans them anymore. No one goes and has a look. So, and to be fair, right, in 19, what was the date on this book, right? In 1931, people were walking, right? They were riding horses and stopping at the creek to give the horse a drink. So they jump off, pan the creek, right? So, so where we roll by at 100 k's an hour, we don't, you don't have a chance. So, Tam Creek have gold in it the whole way along, or only in certain spots. It tends to concentrate. If we're talking about a fairly rich creek, it will tend to have gold all the way down it. But it will concentrate in specific areas, like inside bends, behind obstructions, that sort of thing, in crevices. So, yes, it will have it the whole way along, but not necessarily. When panning away, where was that? When panning away from the creek up a hill, take a water pack when loaming. Yes, absolutely. In a couple of areas where I have loamed and properly loamed, like old school, like working up a hill where there wasn't much water, I actually got one of those flexi tubs. I love those flexi tubs. Flexi tubs of water, put it up the hill, and I bring the pan to it. I'm not carting the water to every pan, but yeah. Oh, you can get tricky with different coloured pens and all that sort of stuff, but Yes. Is that an app? No, this is just a mapping app, right, that I've put it on, but normally I print off a paper map. Yeah. So, yeah. Right. Trevor's into it again. Panning and scraping cracks are just a minor inconvenience. Yes. Right. Goal is there. Dale, still yet to find pannable gold in WA. Mate, I think, yeah. Yep. So, yeah, I don't know about that. So, loaming is boring, just using STC. Now, it's not for everyone, right? Loaming is I don't enjoy loaming. I enjoy the chase. There's no doubt about that. But I don't enjoy digging holes and doing pans, right? But if you properly want to work an area, that's the way to do it, right? No mucking about, right? Because an SDC doesn't tell you enough information. It doesn't go fine enough, okay? So you could walk across a creek system and miss every piece of gold in it. Every single piece of gold in it. Now, if you don't, and it could be rich, right? If you don't know that that creek is really prolific, you don't slow down. You just zoom through, boom, nothing here, right? That's the advantage of loaming, right? Now, yes, you can just, my best advice to people wanting to find a bit of gold, you don't want to spend Vesta a little bit of time, is go the old timers digging. Look at your geology before you go out. Identify where the old timers have worked, right? Go and have a slam around them. Don't just drive out there and go, here's a good spot to park. Everyone's been parking here. You'll never find anything like that, okay? Do some research, find out where the old timers were, what sort of gold they were finding. Trilobite's good for that, right? And look for the old timer workings. Marry that up with some geology, right? And just do concentrated areas. Don't just randomly go out there. You'll never find a thing. Of course, you've got to check your Brett makes a good point. You've got to check your local waterways. Make sure you're allowed to do it. So, yeah. When surface loaming a slope, what do you consider a good pan? I would want to be seeing sort of, when I'm on the surface upper slope, I would want to be seeing half a dozen colours per pan. And pretty consistently too. Not one here and 10 up the road, you know, pretty consistently sort of thing. So, right. So, do you have mental notes like a lot of ironstone or tree types? No, mental notes disappear. It's like writing on a loose piece of paper for me. I'm putting a lot of this stuff on electronic maps so I don't forget it. Okay, because I'm in a lot of different parts of the country. It's not like I'm just going to one forest all the time, one area all the time. So I will put, so for instance on that map, I will put a line on that map and say change in vegetation, right? So I tend to note all that stuff down. What I have to do is with a guy I can put my waypoints and lines and areas and that sort of thing in folders. So, and I have to call those folders like I've got a results folder that's got all these waypoints in it, right? That have got the little zeros and twos and what have you in it. So I can turn that whole folder on and off if I don't want it. Then I've got like I think the folder's called ground observations. So that's where I put in quartz reefs that are showing on the ground. you know, changes in vegetations, all that sort of thing. I have to get quite organised because, sometimes people pay me to go and do it, right? So I need to actually do a report up, right? So, for instance, occasionally a mineral company will want a mining company will want a prospector to go and do that, and want me to go out and have a look, because a lot of the geologists these days aren't that necessarily good at prospecting. So, yeah. So I actually organise it pretty well. So, yeah. Changes in tree types always give away something's going on there, right? It's it's really a change, not necessarily mineralisation, Matt. That's a fact that I discovered just recently when I went into it's two things that I've discovered in the last 12 months about changes in vegetation. I walked into an area that was just, it was a dead change. It was like a line in it. You could just see it. And it went from gums into grass trees. Right? And just no other gums, just grass trees, just a forest of grass trees. It was cool, right? Now, it didn't look like it at the time, but when I looked at the historical maps, it just appeared. What I'd worked out is that 50 years ago, that was mined. Okay, so that's a change in vegetation that only is because it was mined, because the soil was disturbed. The other thing is, I came across a change in vegetation. I came across a change. I had these little cycads came in. These little, I don't know what you'd call them, little bloody spindly looking things, right? And I only just picked it up. I walked through there like 4 or 5 times and then picked it up. But that was a change in depth of the soil, right? So the depth of the soil can indicate a change, as well as how rocky the soil is. So if you come up onto a rock bar, you see the vegetation thin out. So that's another indicator. So, so changes in vegetation can be caused by a stack of different things, not just mineralisation. I always thought it was mineralisation, but I'm only a beginner at this, so I'm learning as I go. So depth is another one. How rocky the soil is. All sorts of things. So, desert currawong tree is an indicator. Yeah, I've got a river gum in a weird spot on the lease, and it's an old. It's one of those old weeping river gums. I think, what's that bugger doing up there? Go and have a look. Sure enough, rounded river rocks all around it. So So, yes, Robert makes a great point. Also depth, small trees shallow, big trees deep. Absolutely. You could say the same thing about grass, right? So grass needs some soil, right? If you've got no grass growing, right, there's a reason for it. Shallow. Horticultural course coming up for Ben. Nah, that's not happening. So now I've never tried panning the gum leaf to see if there's any gold in it, but I don't know how you do that. I think they're microscopic. You'd have to chemically test it or get it assayed or something or other. So But, righto. So, we got a couple of gold trap pans to give away tonight. So we're going to give one to YouTube and one to the Facebook. So, yes, that's what we're going to do. I'm going to give that away. We're going to find a photo of that 3-ouncer and a 23-gram specimen. In a minute, I'll go and we'll draw the pans out shortly. Everyone knows what a gold trap pan is. So let's get, I'm sort of stuck on the map here. So, prospecting for gold. Ian Idris, right? Let me just see if I can bring you across here. Let's go and see if we can find it. Okay. I'll bring you across. Where am I? Monitor share. Yeah, here we go. Oh, the bloody video's not working. So that means the thing won't work. Again, monitor share. Hang on a tick. Let me just try that. Why is that not working? Okay, I'm going to try this, but if you look, we won't have visual, which is probably an improvement. Let me just try this to see if we got audio. Have we got audio? Have we got audio? Yes, we have got audio. Righto. So let's just have a look here on eBay. Let's just have a look and see if we can find a cheap copy of this. Yep. Expecting for gold. Let's have a look. Yeah. See these things, right? Waste of time. Prospecting for gold, right? So there you go, $35, right? It's not a flash first edition or anything like that. They're $225, but you can see here, 82, $35, right? There's one down here for $50, right? So, you know, this is the, you know, these first edition things aren't cheap, sort of thing, but yeah, you can buy them cheap enough, what have you. So if we just have a look, we'll just have a look at this other one here. I think, what's that one called? Fortunes in Minerals. Fortunes in Minerals. There you go. $45. So you don't have to pay a fortune for them, okay? But they are very, very, very good books, okay? So if you're interested in them, right, you don't have to spend a lot of money like I did, because I like these first editions, you know, silverfish eating, you know, things. I love it. I feel like I'm, you know, I got the bloke's information in my hands, you know, like it's dusty and it's knocked around and it's, you know, I treasure them. I love these books, sort of thing. So, but if you knew those two books back to front, you'd be a very good prospector. Very, very good prospector. Forget Golden Ghosts and all that stuff. Those two. Right? Yeah. Really good bookshop, $30. Yep. So, yeah. Yes. Why are the Golden Ghost books so expensive? They're rare. Everyone rates them. The problem, I like Golden Ghosts, right? I like Golden Ghost books, right? But everyone's got that information, right? Everyone's got that information. see a book like this, right? I'm going to let you into a secret that I discovered today. I've only just discovered it. I'd forgotten about this book, right? And it's by Ian Idris again. I pulled it out, just happened to pull it out. And it's called My Mate Dick, right? My Mate Dick, okay, by Ian Idris. And I thought, I don't remember that one, right? And I just happened to open the page and look at it, right? Look at it. It's, you know, it's a proper book, right? So, and I'll just read you the first page. Cape York Peninsula and gold in the days when our beards were black, right? So, it is about the Cape York. My Mate Dick is a book about gold in Cape York. So, I pulled it out. I'm taking it home and I'm going to read it, right? So, there you go. I've gone in there for a reason. There's a 3-ouncer for me in that book somewhere, right? So, there's a 3-ouncer for me in that book when I take it home and read it. So, that's the sort of thing old books do, right? So, yes. Yes. Right. So, and I don't know. Like, I don't know whether there's information in there that's going to be worthwhile, right? And from the contents here, right, you don't know. You have to read. This is the problem with old books. They're not designed as... They're written in stories, you know. So, like The Sleeper in an Ant Bed, The Vengeance of Gengar, right? The Golden Creek, like I'll read... Oh, obviously read that. The Lynching Party, Golden Opium, like that might be a story about the Palmer and where they were getting gold on the Palmer, you know. Fox's Me, The Stringy Bark Fox, Golden Natives, Bully nearly meets his Waterloo. Like, who knows what's in those stories that will lead me to go, that creek there, no one's looked at that creek. Let me go and have a bloody squiz at that creek. So, yeah. These have got more information in them than Golden Ghosts. So, yeah. So, absolutely. And you can come in, sit down. People do it all the time. Sit down and read these books. You don't have to go and spend any money, right? You can come in, sit down. The coffee machine's out the back. You can make yourself a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, right? And have a read of the books, right? So, yeah. Righto, let's go and see if we can find a couple of winners here. See what's going on. We're giving away a couple of gold trap pans tonight. I think they're amongst the best pans. Minelab pans are good. Lots and lots of good pans out there, but I tend to like the Garrett ones only because I've been using them for such a long time. You know, so yeah, that's just what I do. So I get you get used to stuff, and you think, oh, that'll be good. So yeah, it's like an old pair of slippers, that pan. So yeah. Right, let me just see if we can get this up here. Right, so let me just get this going here. So let's start with YouTube. A gold trap pan goes to, let me push the button, last comment. Righto, Wayne Tolver Banks. Wayne, you've got to contact me either by Facebook or email, or give me a call in the morning. And you've got a gold trap pan coming out for you. And then let's get onto the Facebook. Last comments now. And we go now. Nicole Jenkins. Nicole Jenkins, I will send you a message directly. But Nicole, you won a gold trap pan. A good 14-inch gold trap pan from Garrett. One of the best pans on the market. As well as the Minelab ones. I don't think there's much difference between them. They're both very, very good pans. Right. I've just bumped the table and away it went. Right, so, guys, I think I got most of the... I think I've got most of the questions there answered. Yeah, but if you've got any questions, I'll talk about this old stuff and how to go and find a bit more gold. Yeah, I'll talk to you about it. Just pick up the phone, ring me. Oh, we also sell metal detectors, so if you want to buy a metal detector, let me know. But I'll talk finding gold all day, okay? So if you want to talk to me about finding gold, right, give us a ring. So yes. Matty, I reckon you should buy, as a first detector, one of them Bounty Hunter Juniors. They're a cracking machine, mate. You'll love it. Blue, takes 2 AA batteries. Actually, tonight's microphone is powered by the batteries, the Minelab batteries out of a Vanquish 340. Without that Vanquish 340 out there, this microphone would not have worked tonight. So that was the scramble around before the show started. So just thank goodness for a Vanquish 340. So, righto guys, thanks very much. We'll see you next week. I'll be in town next week. Then I'll be, I think, north. David, Goldbug 2 on eBay. Yes, that'll be a good buy for someone, as long as it's not a knockoff. Right, there's some knockoffs around, so be careful of that. Righto, well, thanks very much, guys. We'll talk to you next week. And just pick up the phone, guys. I'm in the shop all week. I'm looking for an excuse to get out of doing the bloody paperwork. So give me a ring. I'll chat. Bye.